Would you maybe happen to have that stuff in pill form? The nurse, or whatever she was, barely cracks a smile at that, but sets her needle aside on a little tray with a towel on it. She turns to fiddle a little more with the tangle of wires leading to something I might have once seen in a comic book. The wires are stuck to me with bits of glue, blue, green, red ones leading from my arms and calves and chest, and now she's rubbing goop into my hair to attach more sensors there. It feels weirdly comfortable, having these people fuss over me, making sure I'm tucked into this recliner, asking me if anything's pinching or pulling. Someone's even heating up a blanket to tuck around me once this gets going. This place doesn't seem very clinical, even with the lab coats walking around. Except for the science gear with the wires and the blanket warming apparatus, it looks like someone's office. Not an expensive one, mind you, but it has the extra bonus of a policeman loitering in the hall, waiting for me. The desk and shelves are made of that fake wood laminate that doesn't even pretend to be real. The carpet isn't exactly the plush variety, but the place looks clean enough, I guess. Like my shrink's office, back before the shrinks gave up and just put me in jail. Someone sits down on a chair beside me, and I shift only my eyes, because the nurse with the painted-on eyebrows told me not to move my head while she's making a mess of my hair. "Almost time, Alex," Dr. Williams says, sounding jolly. I'm suspicious of jolly people with degrees. I suspect they studied how to be jolly. He's holding a clipboard, but I've already signed the forms. I'm of sound mind and body these days, so I'm allowed to do that. They didn't have to put much energy into convincing me to give this a try. Of course, now that I'm here with the wires and that needle sitting on its little towel, I'm not so sure anymore. I doubt Dr. Alana, as she likes to be called, would approve of this. I didn't ask her. She's had her chance to analyze my little episode for the past 20 years and came up with nothing. No childhood trauma, no physical abnormalities, and a clean drug test. All clear for trial. This patient is perfectly lucid. I still see her sometimes, but we just chat a lot about any urges I might have to blow things up. I don't have any. I'm not sure why she thinks I'd tell her if I did. Dr. Williams didn't ask me to get her approval. His profile as a cognitive psychologist is impressive, even if this clinic seems a bit cheesy. Memory regression isn't really something you'd expect a big-shot cognitive psychologist to bother with. Unreliable, discredited. Something for movies or stage shows where a hypnotist pretends to put everyone under. This one's different, though. The secret is whatever's in that needle. It's going to let me remember why things turned out the way they did. A nootropic cocktail full of magical words like methylphenidate and tryptophan, and maybe a dab of cough syrup for all I know. Dr. Williams is going to open up my memories like a 6-lane highway and let me drive. And when I get there, I'm going to take a look around. I'm ready, I say. It's all just memories, remember that, Williams says. We'll be monitoring you every second of the way. You're trying to access a traumatic experience, so prepare to get upset by it. If things look too dicey, we'll pull you up. I nod, which gets me a sigh from the eyebrow lady. I didn't even nod that hard. Yes, I understand. I used to be a graduate student. I read instructions. And though I don't say that out loud, I also read the disclaimers that say whatever experimental soup they're about to shoot me up with has side effects that make those lists at the end of pharmaceutical commercials sound like a day at the spa. No apprehension? Of course. I'm going to remember what I did, maybe figure out why. That's the important part. I guess it doesn't really matter to anyone except me by now. I've paid for it with a big chunk of my life behind bars. Still scary as hell, though. Good, he says, like he hadn't heard my answer. I don't suppose he's getting paid to care. This is an experiment in regression therapy, not some personal favor to help me find out why I killed 4 people and blew up half of the school residence. He looks up at someone now sitting on my other side. This is Nick Tomlinson, Williams says. I noticed the lack of doctor before the name. He'll take you through. He's very good at this. The nut doctor smiles at me. He's younger than Williams and skipped the lab coat today. We're going to guide you to remember the day of the incident, the part you've repressed. He raises his hand to show me a photograph. It's pretty grainy and looks like it was taken from a CCTV recording. Do you know this place? I squint at it. A big room, a common area with beat-up couches, an old cathode TV, and a stereo on an old dresser. We called it the Pit, like thousands of other hangout places on thousands of other campuses. There is a kitchenette in the back, basically a fridge and some counter space with a sink. It might have been a storage area once. Another door leads down into the basement. Rec space, lots of partying going on there. Hey, that's Mike Radley. No one else with hair like that. Do you know the others there? Tomlinson says. Hard to tell. Lots of guests coming and going at all hours. I think the guy by the door is Ralph Redding. Don't know the bald guy. Might even be faculty. That girl's first name is Sue, someone's girlfriend, I think. It's mostly the nerd crowd, computer science freaks. They had a lab downstairs. That's you over there, right? So we know this was taken just before things went bad. His finger moves, and now he points at someone in the back, half hidden by a tall bloke with a backpack. A woman, maybe. They're walking to the left, and their movement is blurred. Do you know who this is? No. I remember not to shake my head. Was this any sort of special day? A party? Not that I remember. There were always people hanging around there. Well, we'll try to get you back there, see what else you remember, Nick the hypnotist says, sounding chipper and confident. He turns to the wire-fiddling nurse. Paula, let's proceed. I don't look at Paula, or the needle. I don't really have a needle phobia, I just think they hurt. Whoever this Paula is, she knows her stuff. She didn't even have to say that I should expect a pinch. Weird how doctors seem to think needle jabs feel like pinches instead of stings, because I barely feel the thing going into my vein. I try to come up with something funny to say about taking her along next time I have blood work done, but I'm distracted by the heat now emanating from the needle puncture. Maybe there's something in there that needs to show up in the scans they're doing of my brain. This dosage will wear off quickly, Nick assures me. Time may seem slower to you. People have epic dreams in just minutes. This may feel similar. So I'll wake up when it wears off? What if I haven't found anything? Then we'll try again another time. Try to relax now. I'm relaxed, I say, and I'm not lying. Their newfangled dope is starting to work on me. Let's do that hypnotizing boogie. Nick starts talking to me pretty much like the hypnotists on TV, in a smooth voice that feels like butter in my ears. I'm not really sure what he's saying after a bit, so I guess he's doing his job. He tells me to start thinking back, like climbing a ladder down, one rung at a time. The dope has me pretty relaxed, and I ask him if I'll fall. He doesn't laugh. Sure sounded funny to me. Fine then. I go down. There isn't much to remember at first. Prison life is a whole lot of nothing sprinkled with bits of unpleasantries. I've been shuffled from one minimum security pen to another until it seemed like everyone's forgotten about me. My sister kept track, but she didn't write much, and visited even less. She cares a lot about the neighbors, so I'm sure I'm not mentioned much in my hometown. I don't even mind jail all that much. I get to read a lot, teach a little, mostly literacy and high school subjects, but it passes the time. I even get internet access. The other inmates are too busy with their own misery to add to mine, which suits me fine. Nicky nudges me along. He has a script based on my history and my own accounts, but he doesn't prompt me. False memories aren't what they're after. I tell him about some drama over a blanket where someone got roughed up, and a birthday thing for one of the guards. We actually sang Happy Birthday, but without the cake. That was my favorite lockup, but I got transferred soon after because of overcrowding. I guess I'm lucky that for these past 5 years my bunkmates have been old repeaters or white-collar miscreants. No idea why they'd throw them in with a convicted murderer like me. Manslaughterer. Huh. Maybe because I'm from a good family. The first few years of prison weren't so great, and I don't want to go back there. Not the sort of environment you want to be in after spending your first 23 years in a good family. No birthday parties worth remembering. Can we go faster? I say, not opening my eyes. I don't want to go back there, and I'm not staying 1 second longer than I have to. Old Nick obliges, and we breeze past the trial. Was a mess anyway. I'm a lunatic, the papers said. I just snapped for no reason. Or maybe because of the exams coming up. I suppose they were right. I don't remember. They found me outside on the lawn, ranting about people with guns. Of course, I wasn't a lunatic by the time Dr. Alana and the rest were done with their analyses. So it was the slammer for me. but not as a dangerous offender. My good family has good lawyers, and I got easy time. "We're going to take a bit of a jump now, Alex," Nick says, almost a whisper. "We're going to the residence now, back before things happened. Can you do that?" Yes, though all this just feels like regular memories. I had a room in Fenton Hall that year, drafty old mansion, older than the school. Mostly the science bunch lived there. Geology, physics, computers. Some really cool projects going on back then. It was the laughter that got my attention that night. Whooping like someone scored a touchdown. I'd been working on the Enceladus paper, an otherwise banal regurgitation of what those cryovolcanoes are up to. But then Cassini dumped a massive bombshell onto our desks, and everyone was scrambling to make sense of it. Apparently, some spooky sound files were coming back from Saturn. Her icy little moon was my ticket to acing the semester if I got this right. Of course, sound files were massive back then. "Who was laughing?" Nick says, apparently uninterested in my life's work. "Try to remember details, even if they seem unimportant." I think back to that moment. It's night, just the one lamp on in my room and the light from the monitor. A quiet space, mostly. I guess I could have afforded an apartment in town, but I like this place fine. It's comfortable, solid somehow, like a castle, and just as drafty. I can hear fat raindrops, the sort that only fall in November, hitting the panes of my window. "This is weird," I say. "It's very clear. It's almost like I'm actually there." Credit card bill beside my mousepad. There's a cut on my finger. It bothers me when I type. "Good. Excellent," Nick says. "That's what we want." I'm in the hallway now. Whoever had laughed out there was gone, but I hear voices by the stairs. The feeling that I'm watching this as it happens is making me a bit queasy, almost like I'm looking at a video taken by someone's phone camera. I was lucky, having an in with the computer science department, on account of where I was living. Computers were nothing like they are today, and there was no way I'd be able to download those files over our wimpy network upstairs. No Wi-Fi up here, just miles of Ethernet cables stapled to the 10 layers of paint on the baseboards. But downstairs, Ralph and his Linux nerds had all the toys, and were always happy to put their skills to work when it came to knocking on NASA's cyber doors. I make my way downstairs. As usual, there are people down in the pit, although not many. Tim and Ralph are huddled over a backgammon board. Doctor Who's on TV, but no one's watching. It's kind of dark here. No wonder that picture Nick showed me is so blurry. There is Sue coming back from the fridge. She gives me a smile before flopping into the sprung couch. The bald guy in the picture is nowhere to be seen. I report all this back to Nick, still feeling stoned, and most definitely feeling like I'm some sort of spy. This doesn't feel like a memory anymore. It feels like I'm really there. I remember going over to look at the backgammon board and making some wisecrack about Tim's bad play. It's an evening like any other, and none of this feels like I'm about to turn into a psychopath. I ask them if they'd seen Tom Delaney, and they tell me he might be in his den. Tom's den isn't exactly a den. It's a basement workroom that he and his hacker pals have tricked out with gear probably frowned upon in the campus labs. Separate internet connection and servers, hard drives cabled together, wires running every which way, monitors piled up, and fans blowing the air around. They've probably made it look like something out of the X-Files on purpose, I guess. They did a good job with that. I got to know Tom during my first year here, when I still had time for online gaming. He's a good guy and gets me anything I want in a tenth of the time it would take to download it myself. If those Enceladus sound files are out there, he'd get them for me. I'd never ask for anything illegal, but I don't plan on asking him if they are public. Sue and Radley got up and are going for the door now. She lives in town, so he's probably walking her out. They almost run into a woman coming in from the hall. Sorry, she says to Sue. She sounds like someone in a hurry. Who came in? I hear Nick say. He seems far away. Try to focus on what you're seeing, what you're hearing. Why? I ask him. Does she have something to do with what happened? We're testing a therapy, don't forget. We are looking for details that are often lost when remembering past events. Can you see her face? No, I say. I didn't really pay attention to her. People came and went all the time. A tall woman, big, but like an athlete, not chubby. I think she had a raincoat on. He mumbles something. It doesn't sound like he's happy. Go on, what do you recall next? He says. I keep recalling. I see myself walking toward the left, to the back stairs and down to the basement. Tom's den is beside the furnace room. The ancient monster in there is a gravity furnace with thick pipes like some giant octopus, already overheating the building even though it's barely November. Other rooms are for laundry and storage, and eventually the long corridor leads to the walk-up to the parking lot. I'm sure there was a lot of sneaking in and out through that door back when curfews were still a thing. This is a bit of a spooky place. Was a spooky place. It smells of damp and age. I'm just past the furnace when I hear someone behind me. I turn and see the tall woman with the raincoat. She's practically running, but I can see she's limping. I step aside to let her go by. Did you look at her? Nick says. Describe her face. I look at her, amazed again at how precisely I can now access this memory. She still has her coat on, a waterproof nylon number that looks expensive. It's been raining all day, and she's dripping water on the floor. Her dark hair is thin and tied back. Her face is very pale. She's mid, maybe late 20s, I'm guessing. I don't tell Nick that. I don't say anything at all. That face doesn't require description. Even 20 years younger, I recognize her from dozens of newspaper stories. Alex, Nick says. His voice isn't as mellow now as it was before. Keep talking. What do you see? I didn't see her face, I stammer. Why did I just say that? Try to remember. Look at her. I must have flinched a bit when he said that. Maybe this experiment isn't going so well. I'm trying. What does it matter who she is? Everything matters, he snaps. She passes me in the hall, and instead of continuing to the exit door at the end, she goes into Tom's den without even knocking. Before the door closes, I see blood on her leg, the one she was favoring with the limp. Did you go into your friend's lab? Nick wants to know. Yes, I say. I'm not sure if I was just nosy about this strange scene, or if my first responder training kicked in, but I remember looking through the dryers in the laundry room. For once I was glad to see someone's clothes left there, and I grab a towel. Yes, I followed her in there. I'm feeling dizzy. I'm having too many thoughts, and I'm pretty sure that cocktail they shot me up with isn't doing my body much good either. Try to relax, Alex. Deep breaths. What are you seeing? Dimly, I can feel a blood pressure cuff squeezing my upper arm. Someone is talking, Williams maybe, but there is pounding in my ears on top of the ringing now. It all seems far away, like they're in a different room. In a way, I guess they are. Tom's lab is gloomy as always. It takes me a moment to see that the woman has dropped into a chair, bent over to examine a wound on her leg. This seems a strange place to come for first aid. Tom is standing nearby looking helpless. When he sees me, he grabs my arm to pull me inside and then slams the door to the hall. Maybe he's glad he's not alone with her. The woman looks up, obviously surprised to see me, but snatches the towel from my hand. She presses it to her leg. What are they saying? Nick says. Did someone mention her name? I need you to describe what she looks like. I can't. I lie, but why? Maybe I want to know what's going on before I keep dancing this hypnotizing boogie. I'm no patsy. Try. I see the woman fumbling through her pocket until she comes up with a disc. Quick, get logged in, she snaps at Tom. Get this sent. Tom looks like he's never seen a CD before, but then drops into his beat-up chair and pulls up to one of his computers to start typing. This isn't supposed to happen, he says, red patches rising on his chubby cheeks. You shouldn't have come here. She goes to stand behind Tom as he's working. Hurry, she whispers, as if to herself. What was Tom's part in all of this? How long has he worked for her, relaying whatever data she brings him, while the rest of us assumed him to be goofing off with Zelda? I feel like someone just told me I'm adopted, or that there really is a Santa Claus. Alex, can you hear me? Keep talking. I'm a bit annoyed by Nick at this point. Whatever's happening here is far more important than painting a picture for him and the doctor. I don't care about his therapy anymore. In fact, I'm no longer sure I want to talk about what's going on here. It sure feels like something that isn't his business. I can feel my heart pound in my chest, but that seems to be happening elsewhere. I can tell something's gone wrong. I'm pretty sure I just got jabbed with another needle. Someone is definitely shouting now. I can't tell if it's someone upstairs, in the pit, or if it's in Williams's makeshift clinic 20 years from now. Yes, I hear you, I say to Nick, but speaking takes effort. I'm fading in and out, like I'm being pulled from two places at once. They're on the computer. It's not the web, just a Linux screen. DOS, maybe, whatever. Oh, I feel sick. End this. What's on the screen? Nick says. I squint at the screen. Gibberish. I'm a geologist, not a coder. Read it. We'll figure it out. It's not Nick shouting at me now. It's Williams. Why is he shouting? I'm having a Paula-induced medical emergency and all he can shout about is what Tom is doing? The woman is still looking over Tom's shoulder, her face tense as she taps her hands on the back of his chair as if that would speed up whatever he's doing. I feel pain in my chest now, and then someone is pulling my hair. The sensors. Someone is disconnecting me from their apparatuses. I'm guessing something bad happened 20 years from here, but oddly I don't care. Maybe I'm dying. Sure sounds like Williams thinks so. I'm floating somewhere amongst my own memories, and I can no longer tell what's real and what I'm just remembering. Is this even a memory? I look at my hands. I touch my face, which feels familiar. I blink slowly, 3 times. That isn't a memory. I blinked because I wanted to blink. Right here. The realization that I'm so deeply sunk into my own memories, stuck in ancient synapses or engrams or whatever is storing our lives inside our heads, is making me even more woozy. I've become my memories. I'm back where I was. My consciousness, 20 years older, is inside my young body. I am not remembering. I am here. And this is where something terrible happened, so long ago. I need to do things, move, leave this place, maybe stop what happened, maybe invest in Amazon or SpaceX or something, place bets on the next presidential election or football game. Nairi, I say, not to Williams, not to the future. I say it to her, here in this room. I don't remember what her last name used to be, and her married name would mean nothing to her back then. She frowns, freezing for a moment, before turning to me. How do you know my name? You need to leave here. Something terrible is going to happen. Her eyes narrow. I kinda know that. She turns to Tom. Who is this? Whom have you told? He looks at me confused. I told nothing. You think I'm crazy? She shakes her head, not to confirm his sanity, but like someone who needs to focus on priorities right now. They must have tracked my car. No way could they know I'm in town. So you thought you'd come here anyway? Tom screeches. I'd never heard him screech before. Do your damn job, she says. What are we paying you for? It's almost done, he says, trying to talk normal. The hectic red patches on his face are now shiny with sweat. Almost there. They're coming, I say, although I don't know who they are. My memories are no longer in order, and my mind is skipping around like a kangaroo in my head. But whatever happened 20 years ago, whatever I did here, it was about to happen. Williams can't help me. I no longer hear Nick talking to me. I feel nothing but the stale, warm air in this room. Did I die? Is that even possible? I know I need to leave here, now. Maybe it'll put things right somehow. Or maybe leaving is what fucked everything up. Nairi stares at me pretty much like most people have been staring at me for years. Curious, a little freaked out, scared maybe, but she doesn't ask questions. After a quick look at the screen, she opens the CD drawer, which seems to take a lifetime. Let's get out of here, she says, taking the disc. Her glance includes me in the suggestion. Tom doesn't ask questions either. He starts typing things into his machine. I just need to, I have to ditch some stuff. I have a program that'll wipe the lot. Just then the door behind me opens like someone has given it a mighty kick from the outside. It hits my arm and I stumble. The man behind the door looks at me and I recoil. Oh, Jesus and the little angels, that's a gun in his hand. I hear the loud rapport, see a bright flash of light, and then behind me Tom is propelled off his chair and crashes into his desk, scattering the tools of his trade. Then he falls. The tang of gunpowder bites into my nose. This is how it happened. I stare at my friend on the floor and my mind reels, trying to grasp at some way to turn this around, to just stop being a spectator and take some action. But I'm blank. Utterly blank. The next few moments are a blur of insanity when Nairi leaps at the intruder. His arm flies up, the momentum of her attack slams shut the door behind him. They fight like cats and I can only stare stupidly as she gets him to the floor. Like I said, she's built solid. Then there's another gunshot, and he lies still. She rests on top of him for a moment, breathing harshly. Voices in the hall get her going again. She gets up and throws home the bolt Tom installed on the door a while back. She looks at Tom but doesn't check to see if he's still breathing. We both know he isn't. "Damn," she gasps, then looks around and we both realize we're trapped. She's now holding the man's gun but doesn't look like she's about to charge into the corridor with it. I try to move my brain circuits. "The hatch!" I yell. "There's a window next door, in the furnace room." I stumble around Tom and his work tables, and for some blessed reason my feet are actually able to move. "This way." I think I razzed Tom a dozen times about his cloak and dagger secret door in the darkest corner of the lab. It used to be a doorway from this room to the furnace, and from there to what was a coal chute about 1,000,000 years ago. It's a window now, little more than a hatch below the ceiling. Tom told me once that hacker work was dangerous, and I called him a geek. Nairi's on the job. She helps me move the cluttered shelf that's really a door, and we duck into the furnace room. Behind us, someone is bashing at the door to the corridor. It sounds like it's splintering, and the voices are louder now. Angry. I wonder if anyone's called the cops yet. Nairi stops and frowns at the hulking octopus furnace, and then back at the door. "What are you doing?" I shout when she starts digging through a shelf full of junk. "Let's get out of here." "That lab is dangerous," she says. She grabs a handful of cleaning rags and throws them on the floor. I watch as she goes to the furnace and peers at the controls on the side. She manipulates something there, then grabs one of the rags to help her twist a giant bolt holding a pipe to the furnace. Clearly she's lost her mind, because she sort of laughs when it gives way, and gas starts to hiss into the room. The sulfuric smell reaches me at once. "Piece of junk," she says, and then gets a lighter out of her pocket. "Oh, cripes," I say, and step up on some pipes to get at the window below the ceiling. I am out of here. The bolt pulls back with a terrific squeal, and I cut my hand on it. Not smart enough to protect my hands as she had. Even more terrifying are the banging noises and shouts coming from Tom's lab now. One door down, another to go. This one separating us from the lab isn't nearly as sturdy. I scramble up onto the windowsill, but I can't run. I don't recall if one of the bodies they found in the rubble was a woman, but I can't just ditch her. I watch her light the rags on the floor with her lighter. She doesn't waste any more time, clearly not about to sacrifice herself for this cause. I help to pull her up and out of the window. We squirm through the foundation shrubbery, wet with autumn rain, to cower under a loading dock. It's cold and muddy, but I don't feel any of that. "That way to the student parking lot," I say, fumbling for a set of keys in my pocket. My car is the red one by the mailboxes. She grabs my hand with the keys in it. "You stay," she says, looking over my shoulder to where we escaped through the hatch. "You've done enough." I almost laugh at that, despite everything that made me regret this day. How right she was. I look into her smudged face, dying to tell her that she would become Nairi Perry, the scandalously fabulous wife of an haute couture designer whose fashion line was sought after by royalty and celebrity and the ultra-rich throughout the world. She'd not believe me, of course. How would this bedraggled young woman go from a university hacker lair to the salons of the powerful elite, we'd both wonder. She tilts her head when someone shouts, muffled, from the basement window. "Back! Back! Get out of here!" Then the massive roar of an explosion envelops us, and we both duck lower. But we're out of the way of the blast. It's not taken long for the methane to find the rags. 5% would have done it. Pieces of window and shredded metal vomit out from the basement casing, and the wall beside us seems to shudder in protest. The fireball follows immediately, but the foundation wall holds. No more shouting. She marvels at this for a moment, and then takes the keys I've offered her. She replaces it with the gun she had wrestled away from that man back there. She wraps her hands around mine as if to ensure I don't drop it. Or maybe because by now I'm in serious need of some hand-holding. "Take this," she says. "Do Do not let them catch you. Do what you have to. You did not see me. I only stare and nod. What made her so important? What was on that disk that had led Williams to such extremes to find out? To find her, even if it took 20 years for the right technology to come along. Clearly she was good at her job, whatever it was. Was she still doing it now? Inhabiting the mansions and the confidences of presidents and ministers in the guise of an international jet-setter? Hiding her mission in plain sight? I have only my car keys and my silence to help her escape. CIA? I ask finally, feeling a bit silly. For all I know, she's a Russian spy, and those guys down in the lab are NSA or something. I pull my shirt over my nose to keep out the dusty smoke that now blankets everything. The air tastes like singed pennies and cement. My eyes burn with whatever is billowing over us. Did you hear me? Yes, I say, but I'm starting to feel dizzy again, and I'm not sure I said that out loud. I hear sirens in the distance now. Sounds like more than one cop on the way. Somewhere in the building looming over us, alarms are blaring. I did not see you. Nairi nods and scrambles to her feet, wincing. She peers around the edge of the loading dock that hides us, and then I see her draw a pistol from beneath her coat. Thank you, she says, but doesn't look at me again. I watch her run along the drive, still favoring her wounded leg, toward the parking lot. Despite her powerful body, she looks vulnerable, lonely somehow, as she makes her escape. I slump down in the mud, my back against the stone wall, and close my eyes. Maybe I can just hide here till morning. But maybe those men are gone now. Maybe the ones in the hall got injured or went out the back door. Who am I to them, after all? I open my eyes. The back door, to the parking lot, where Nairi went. I heave myself to my feet and step out onto the path to follow her. Then some movement catches my eye, and now I see someone running toward me, not uniformed. He has a gun and it's pointed at me. How many are out there combing the grounds to find Nairi? I remember the gun in my own hand. I have no idea how to use it, but I've seen it on TV. I aim and fire, and it almost kicks out of my hand. The man dives to the side and turns to the parking lot. Maybe I scared him, seeing how I'm such a hero. Or maybe he realized that Nairi is not with me. I see him reach the parking lot. Someone's waiting for him at the open door of a blue minivan. Not exactly the spy mobile of film noir, but probably efficient. The waiting man looks up, and I can see his face in the bleary light of the street lamps. He's young, maybe 30 plus, and familiar. Williams! I try to shout the name, but he doesn't hear me. I almost expect the other man to be Nick, but he's not. He looks Middle Eastern, Turkish maybe. I'm not good with that. I scramble to my feet and start walking toward them, staggering really, and waving the gun in the air. Smoke, stinking of hot metal and melted spy lab, is rolling into the driveway. I can see the flashing lights of emergency vehicles bounce off the trees and light up the smoke. The man climbs into the van, and they speed away to the west entrance of the lot and out of my life. Until today, I guess. Something in my sadly abused head tells me that I have to get back somewhere. The lab. Tom's lab? No, the cheesy lab with blanket warmers and cheap carpeting. But the doctors were silent now. No Williams, no Nick, no nurse. Gone now. I feel severed and distant. 20 years distant. I wipe the rain from my face, blood on my hand. Am I bleeding? Things are disappearing into a weird fog. Had there been a girl? I try to grasp at the pieces, like you try to hold on to a dream that's slipping away the moment you wake up. Maybe some of the memory dope is still affecting my brain, although I'm sure that I've left my dead body somewhere in the future. I don't want to forget this. I am not a murderer. I did not blow up the lab in a psychotic rage over having lost a video game against Tom. Or did I? Time passes as I stagger around in the blinding smoke, trying not to faint, wondering where I am or why. Finally, someone steps through the gloom, shouting at me to drop the gun. This time I see a uniform, so I'm happy to obey. I try to tell them that the agents from who knows where have escaped in a blue van, but no one's listening. I turn to look for my car, which seems important, but it's gone. I want to sleep. This is a great opportunity, my legal counsel tells me. She pulls more papers from her lawyerly briefcase that so perfectly matches her lawyerly shoes. There are risks, of course. I shrug, like I have a lot to lose. She tilts her head. There's a lot of upside, Alex. We can make this work. She tries to sound empathetic and professional, but she was probably a toddler when they locked me up 20 years ago. I had a different lawyer then, after what happened at the dorm. Not a hotshot like this one, according to my sister, who got her to reopen my case. You need to sign these. Then I'll set up your field trip to the doctor's office. In shackles? I asked, only half joking. This place had its own clinic, and trips to the outside were rare these days. There'll be an officer with you, she says. The team is going to travel here. I found some office space in our building for them if you want to go ahead with this. She leans forward to push the papers across the table. Her hand almost knocks her briefcase off the table, and I have another of my déjà vu moments. I get a lot of those. This is a new approach to memory retrieval, she continues, mixing hypnosis and an experimental drug. It's showing some promise. They heard about your case somehow and are offering to treat you as part of their study. Pro bono. I tilt my head to read the title page. It's a proposal by a Dr. Glenn T. Williams. Really? I say with a lopsided grin. Williams? She rolls her eyes. A spy named Williams is a character of my psychotic episode, even if I don't remember anything else about that day. Apparently, spies invading a college dorm was the best I could come up with after the explosion. Never mind that I held the gun that killed Tom and the other fellow. It's a common name, she says. True, I mutter, scanning the abstract. They're mixing hypnosis with nootropics to treat dissociative amnesia? Trippy. She raises a hand like a traffic cop. It wouldn't be admissible, of course. But maybe it'll give us something to investigate. Enough reason to reopen your case after all these years. Find some reason for this. She waves her hand to encompass the bleak cubicle of a room, with its single table and cafeteria chairs, tiny window, and an excessive amount of gray paint. The only thing missing is the two-way mirror and cameras, but I'm not criminal enough for that anymore, I guess. I still think your case was tied up far too quickly. Something doesn't sit right with me about that. She seems awfully enthusiastic about the whole thing. But then, she's one of the few people who doesn't think I'm insane or criminal. Maybe the only one, including me. I've had 20 years of trying to figure out why I shot Tom and lit that furnace. Actually not a bad feat, seeing how I got away with just a few scratches, while Tom's entire lab got turned into a molten mess of metal and plastic and Tom parts. The other bodies were never identified, not even by a shred of DNA on any database. Could have been anybody. The forensic people figured that I sparked the old furnace by accident while I was shooting Tom and whoever he was hanging out with. So I was also on the hook for the 2 men who died from the shrapnel flying through the lab. All the evidence was there. The only thing missing was the motive. Since all they had were my confused Ramblians when they arrested me, we may never know. After 20 years in places like this, I'm open to anything that'll solve the mystery. I pulled the papers, probably full of caveats, disclaimers, and contracts, over to my side of the table. Let's do this. Reminds me of a 70s tune, the Hypnotizin' Boogie.
Thank you for listening to Lifer, a short story by Chris Rea. Look for other free stories by this author here on YouTube. Also check out Chris Rea's sci-fi space opera novels available at Amazon, Kobo, Apple Books, and Google Play. Audiobooks with human voice narration are available via Audible and Amazon. Links below. Copyright 2025 Chris Rea, all rights reserved.